18. I am Thomas Hawk. I'm here with Lotus Carroll, my lovely co-host as always. Hi, Lotus.
Hello, everybody.
All right. Well, we have an exciting show for you tonight. This is not an episode of Dignation. This is an episode of Photo Talk Plus. And we have a special guest, Athena Carey. Did I pronounce that right, Athena?
You did.
Good. Okay. And we have a wonderful show. We have a great lineup of panelists. Lotus, you want to tell folks who's on the show tonight?
I do. We're going to start off with April Gattel. And when introduce you, let people know where they can find you on the web and anything you want them to know about you.
All right, thank you. I can be found at Google+. I am a new photographer, so I don't have anything up on the web, but you can catch me at Google+.
Exclusively on Google+.
Yes.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
Okay, moving along. We have, from Google Photos, Brian Rose.
Hey everyone, I'm Brian Rose. You can find me on G+, just search for Brian Rose. I'm the Google Photos Community Manager.
And we can also find your mustache on G+, right?
That's true. My mustache has its own Plus page. I think that was actually inspired by one of Thomas's posts.
Yes, yes. It's a wonderful, wonderful account to follow.
So who says that the features we request don't get added? Okay. We've also got Ivan Makarov.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Ivan.
Where can we find you on the web?
You can find me on ivanmakarov.com.
Exclusively?
Exclusively, a very special domain.
And what's all that stuff you're wearing on your head and your...
Well, I'm wearing this because of this.
Nice! How's that feel?
So it feels great. This is the second time. I just shaved my head a couple hours ago. Second time in my life I've ever done that. I just started a job at SmugMug, and one of the first things they do there is they paint your face as one of the superheroes. So that's coming up for me tomorrow, and as part of the process, I need to shave my head. So I just thought I'd do this especially for the show as well.
Wow, do that again.
Can you tell us what superhero you're going to be painted as?
Just don't tell my son, but I'm going to be Darth Maul from Star Wars.
No way.
And I'm actually going to, my plan is to come in and scare him. So I'm going to record it on the video and see his reaction when Darth Maul walks into his room.
Such a nice dad.
I know.
Oh, okay. You have to post it.
Yep.
Excellent.
So when anyone starts working there, they have to shave their head, huh?
No, it just depends on your character. My character is kind of bald, so.
Okay.
Everyone who starts working at Google has to grow a mustache.
Apparently.
Darn it!
Women too.
Brian, my dreams are shattered. Okay.
Congratulations on the new job, Ivan. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah, congratulations.
We obviously love...
Congrats, Ivan.
And I like that hoodie you're wearing tonight too.
Yeah.
I hear we're gonna be giving one of those away.
Definitely. You can even have mine, because the one that has all little hairs all over. I can give that one away too.
Good.
We're going to be clamoring for that.
Yeah.
We'll go for extra.
Move on with it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We've got Julia Anna Gaspadarou. And you can
Yes,
you can fix
correct.
that, because I'm sure I messed it up.
It was pretty close. I'm Juliana Gospodaru.
There we go.
Yes, it was very, very close. I'm an architect and a fine art photographer. Pretty new photographer. Actually, pretty new online. I'm photographing all my life. And you can find me, obviously, on G+. I'm here every day. So you can find me pretty easy. And also I'm on some other places like 500 Pix or Art Limited, a bit on Flickr, and I'm working on my site. I don't have an address for you right now, but we keep in touch.
Okay.
then tell it to you when I'm ready to go.
Julia, Anna, I want to hear you and Yvonne.
Thank you.
I want to hear you and Yvonne say something to each other in Russian.
I don't know Russian.
No? Where is that accent from?
I have started to learn Russian at some point, but I got distracted.
So where is that accent from? Where are you from?
I'm living in Athens, and I was born in Romania.
Romania.
It's something. It's both of these.
Yvonne, you know any Romanian?
Do you know any Greek?
No.
Greek? We need Helen here for the Greek.
Yeah.
No, okay. And who else do we got, Lotus?
We have the always awesome Keith Barrett.
Yay, spasibo.
Yay.
I'm Keith Barrett. You can find me exclusively on the internet and in real life. And I broadcast Hangouts on Google Plus on vidcastnetwork.com, and I am a photography enthusiast, and hopefully I'll start posting some photos now. And thank you, everybody, for having me here.
Thanks for being here, Keith, and for all you do
Yes.
for us.
And for those of you that don't know, there's a lot of family on this show tonight.
It's the family show.
Right, Lotus?
Yay.
Lotus and I have been having a hard time getting panelists and guests to come on the show anymore, and so we decided we'd have to ask our sisters tonight.
It's a nepotism show.
Yes. So,
April is Thomas's sister, and Athena Carey, the guest for tonight's show, is my sister.
all right. Wait, don't you have that backwards? No, I'm kidding. So,
I'm trying to take my sister. I won't
right.
stay.
Right. Right, and I see we have a number of wonderful folks in the chat room, as usual. I see Eustace James and Gilmar and Serge and Vivian and Ron Clifford from the wonderful Life Through the Lens show. Who else do we got? Toby Harriman. Toby and I were shooting. Beauty Bubble, as usual. Geez, there's more, too. I can't name everybody. There's Elizabeth Hahn. And okay. So,
Gang is here.
vidcastnetwork.com/chat if you want to hop on in the chat with us and hang out with the show, too. So, we have a great show tonight. In addition to the interview with Athena, we're going to talk about a few stories. What's with it with all these Google Plus Hangouts? Have you guys noticed there's a pretty high-profile hangout was announced yesterday, huh? The White House? A photo walk at the White House?
Oh, you said Hangouts, and I was like, I didn't know we were going to talk about Hangouts.
Oh, I said it wrong. I meant photo walks. Photo walks galore.
I was like, the White House had a hangout?
You're fired.
Yeah, I know. A photo walk at the White House. Who wants to go on that?
Me.
Thank
I would like to go on that.
But I'm too far away.
Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know that they'd let me anywhere near the president, but...
Roma and Natalia got selected for that.
They're going? They
They're
got selected?
going. Natalia's
Wow.
Roma G, and some others, but those were the two that I know pretty well.
Good for that.
I was pretty excited to see the announcement that they were going to get to go today.
Brian Rose, how did you guys get the White House to host a photo walk?
I think Brian can't hear you.
Brian can't hear me?
I think his phone just went off.
I think something's going on my end. I might have to just pop out and pop back in. I can hear everyone in the Hangout except for Thomas for some reason. So, that's really bizarre. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys.
All right.
Okay.
Well, somehow there's a photo walk at the White House.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that sounds
Do you
pretty
think they'll
cool.
look at all your pictures before you can post them? Like, before you leave to make sure you don't get any, like, stuff you shouldn't take pictures of?
I bet they don't. I bet they just keep you off to like certain restricted areas where you're not going to shoot anything too crazy.
See, that's what I'd want to shoot.
The crazy stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, you know, I'm a little concerned these days about the Secret Service that are guarding the president. It's kind of...
Yeah, just don't go to those rooms.
So, apparently, I guess you have to be invited to this thing, is that right?
Oh, yeah. No, just show up. You should just show up.
Just show up?
Yeah.
You know, I bet this will probably clinch the election for Barack Obama, don't you think? Those photos floating around out there? Brian, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yes.
I can hear everyone else too. It's just so strange. Everyone was fine. It was just I could just see your lips moving. It was a really, really awkward, strange hangout.
That's how Lotus usually likes it. So, Brian,
inside joke.
Brian, how did you guys get the White House to host a hangout?
So our community partnerships team, they have some relationships with the White House. We did the Obama hangout earlier.
Right.
And so we've basically just been in touch. They were asking us what are some of the cool projects that are happening on Google+, what are the things that users are doing that we think are really cool, really innovative, and just collaborative. So one of the first things that came to mind was just a photo walk. Let's try to organize a photo walk at the White House. It'd be really great to meet the official White House photographer, to do a hangout with him and see basically how does one become an official White House photographer and follow Obama around, take his photo, and get paid to do this. So
will you get inside the White House, Brian? Will you get inside the White House?
We're still in the works. We're trying to figure out what we can do. It might not be possible for this specific garden tour photo walk, but we'd like to basically see how this one goes and then see how many more we can do in the future. But this one, it was just an opportunity with the garden tour. So the turnaround time was very fast. They basically asked people to submit their photos with the hashtag WHPhotoWalk, and the photo walk's actually happening this weekend. So it's very quick turnaround time. Hopefully, if it goes well and they like to do these photo walks again in the future, we'll have more lead time. But it's really exciting. It's one of those pie in the sky ideas that just everything fell together, everything fell into place.
Yeah, that's really cool. I was surprised to see how soon it is. Like all of a sudden it was there and bam, it's gonna happen. So that was pretty.
I want to see a picture of Sergey Brin sitting at the White House desk in the Oval Office. That would be cool. Well, congratulations. That's a high-profile walk, and we've had some other walks too. I hear there's a European photo walk coming up. Is that right, Athena?
Yeah, we're going to do one in Berlin next month. We got a bunch of awesome photographers, a big group of long exposure photographers coming. Julia is helping to organize it. We're going to have talks about long exposure, infrared, big, really important buildings that Julia can tell you more about because she's our brilliant architect.
Architecture, photography, and things like this. Street photography also.
Is this
we have a whole street section as well. They're going to do a different route. Hopefully our routes are going to intersect in a few points so everybody can meet everybody.
Nice. And when is the date on this one? It's next month when?
It's May 12th and 13th. A lot of us are coming early, though, so the whole week.
The whole week? A week long?
No, it's officially on the 12th and the 13th, but some of us just need more.
It's a great city, Berlin. It's a big city.
I like that attitude.
You can do a lot of things.
Yes.
I think 1 week it's little.
And Lotus posted a link to it in the chat room, which I'm surprised she beat Beauty Bubble at posting that link. So
one thing I really like about one thing I really like about your guys' photo walk is the fact that you also have an educational component to it, which is not a typical photo walk, where you will actually teach people about long exposures and post-processing and so forth. Really actually a good idea that I think you will see more and more photo walks implement. How are you guys planning on doing that, Athena?
That part was actually really important to us because you can ask people to come do long exposures with you, but the fact is a lot of people don't really know what that means, and if they know what it means, they might not know how to do it. So we've got Mark Kogel and Joel Tinchelar, who are both amazing long exposure photographers, coming in to talk about that. And then we added in Luca Cesari, who is a fantastic infrared photographer. He's going to come in and teach us all how to do that. And we had the Mexican Embassy offer us space in their building facilities to do those lessons. We're really lucky.
Very cool.
Wow. First the White House, now the Mexican Embassy. That's terrific. Okay, so, and there was a photo walk down to Monterey. Did you guys see that one this past week? The Trey Ratcliffe did?
Had a lot of fun.
I guess Trey was down there to receive some sort of an award or something from some sort of a conference, like a fancy conference. And no, I'm kidding. He was speaking. He gave a talk at this conference, and they had a photo walk down there, which was pretty cool. And Brian, you recently got back from a photo walk, didn't you?
Yeah, we had the Walk Down Under, which was the Australia nationwide photo walk. So in addition to Sydney, there's, I think, 11 other photo walks that were happening just basically every corner of Australia. Altogether, I think the total attendance was something around 450. It was just insane. We had tons of swag that we gave out. And then the photos, if you just look for hashtag the Walk Down Under, you can just see all the amazing photos.
Yeah, that's what I want to know, how you get one of those fancy camera straps that say Google+.
Yeah, so basically we were giving those away to photo walk hosts. And we still have lots more. If you're hosting a photo walk, that's the one right there. Just send me an email or send me a private message on G+, and I'll get the photo walk host camera straps.
Ooh,
and also stickers as well.
Nice. Now, speaking of the Down Under photo walk, I did have a photo that I wanted to share. And wouldn't you know, it went to the wrong photo. Hold on. Boy, okay, here we go. Screen share. This was the #1 rated photo on Google Plus this past week. What do you guys think?
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, seriously cool.
Isn't it?
I have always loved that photo.
And Brian, you took that down in Australia?
Yeah, after the Walk Down Under, basically there's more photographers who just wanted to meet up again. So the guy who's actually doing the steel wool light painting, that's Michael Sutton, Michael N. Sutton. You can search for him on G+. And there's a ton more photographers there as well. I think Tony G. I'm just blanking on names right now. Stephen Godfrey was there. Keith was there. Alexander was there. Just if you go to my profile and look at the page, I think I plus mentioned everyone on that specific post. But basically, we went out to these sand dunes. We had LED lamps and steel wool. And that specific photo, if I'm remembering right, it's a 30-second long exposure. I think it was f9 with my 10.5 millimeter Nikon fisheye. So basically just wedged the tripod in the sand and then took that photo.
Center of the universe. Well, that is a remarkable photo. This is one of the most brilliant still wool shots I've ever seen, and you got it just right. And Michael Bonacort's got to be extremely jealous when he sees it.
Yeah, I bet. I was gonna say I've seen so many of these now, but this one's just so spectacular. It looks just perfect. It looks like copper wire. It just looks perfect.
I love that the cameras are in there too. It adds a different dimension to it.
And because it's fisheye, I'm actually really close to Michael. So I don't remember exactly, but I can't be more than 10 feet away from Michael. So it was a fun shot. He was basically trying to make a curtain of sparks around us. So that's what created that cool vortex effect.
It's awesome.
3,512 plus ones.
Wow. That's a number.
Believe that. Brian, is this your #1 +1 photo you posted to Google Plus so far?
Yeah, definitely. And I posted this. I think it was the day after we redesigned G+. And what I think actually is happening is that because we have that new Explore page, it's a little bit easier to find those trending posts. And so in the previous layout, the What's Hot post would kind of be transient. Like if you're going through your stream pretty quickly, that was about it. You saw it and then you moved on. With the new Explore page, I think more people are hitting those posts, and that's why they basically hit the 500 max comments so quickly. They get so many +1s, and they continue to get so many +1s. I think in the first 24 hours, it probably hit maybe about 1,500 +1s, and then it's only been a week since the redesign, and it just keeps growing. So
do you think the Explore, because there's a specific Explore button now, that more people are pressing that and seeing that stuff?
That's anecdotally, that's what I think is happening.
Yeah.
Because I've had other content show up in What's Hot before. I've had other photos appear there, but nothing like this. I mean, this is like taking things to just a whole new level.
Well, it's also a really strong. It's a great photo too. I mean,
Yeah.
on its own. So
Cheers, thanks.
it's a pretty strong photo to start with. So congrats on that, and it sounds like a great photo walk down in Australia. Sounds like, how many people total were involved with it, Brian?
So across the whole country, it was something like 450, and then we beat the world record. It was previously set by Trey for the largest single photo walk, with 225 people in Sydney itself. So it was all around, just the photo walks that were happening all over the place, from Brisbane to, I don't even know how to pronounce all the city names in Australia, but it was insane.
We hope
And a
to
lot
beat
of
that
that-
record in Berlin.
Yeah, I hear Berlin's going to top that one.
Yeah, we got 150 people or something right now registered, only registered, because you can come even if you're not registered. And I think there will be many more to come.
It's going to be pretty big. Brian, how do you manage the crowd that big? Do you all walk together at the same time?
That's
all start
a
at the
great
same time?
question.
So what we've done in the past is try to have photo walk coaches basically man groups of 50 people or less. At this specific photo walk, because we were in such a big area, so I was participating in the one in Sydney, and so what we did is we met at the King Street Wharf, and then we boarded this ferry that took us to Cockatoo Island, which is kind of like maybe a little bit like Treasure Island in San Francisco, or it's basically it used to be, I think, an old power plant. But once we got to this island, it was just a free-for-all. The place was so large that you could basically have just as much time as you wanted to explore, and you wouldn't always run into other photographers because the place was so big. But then the beauty of it was that we all had to come back on that boat, so people knew to come back for that group photo. So yeah, I think normally having coaches man groups of 50 is probably a lot more manageable. This one we got lucky just because of the geography of the location.
And then do you send the groups out separately, or do you send them out all at once in their groups of 50?
I think sending them all out at the same time is fine, but just trying to spread things out. Like when we've done the Trey Ratcliffe Stanford photo walk the previous year, basically we were doing something similar where Thomas led a group of around 50, Catherine Hall led a group of 50, there's like a group of 50 people following a few of us Googlers. And then we all started from the same location, took the one group photo at the beginning of the photo walk, and then kind of just dispersed. And then we all grouped back together again, I think really just by chance. But that, I think too, what also helped is, I'm not sure if this was intentional, but each of the different coaches had different styles of photography that they liked taking. So if you like street photography,
that's what I wanted to ask you. Did you have different themes, or was it a freestyle, something like this?
Yeah, I mean, everyone on the photo walk, they were free to take whatever kinds of photos they wanted, but a lot of them knew, like, if they were interested in HDR, they would follow Trey. If they wanted to do more like street-style photos, maybe they would follow Thomas. And then I think it was Catherine who actually had set up like a mini portrait shoot, or she might have even brought some models. And that was one of the requests that came up on the Sydney photo walk, was that we had this really great location with a lot of scenic things to do, but it would have been maybe something cool to do for next time is having either like a sports car there that people could take photos of, or hire a few models and then have a little mini model shoot. So,
Lotus will model for you.
Yes, please fly me over to see my sister, and I'll do whatever.
Yes.
And
Yeah, we thought about doing that too.
Yeah, no, there are people coming all the way from Canada to Berlin, so it's not that far away for you.
I love that idea of having something for every style.
It's like a photo decathlon or something.
Yeah.
Sounds like what Scott Jarvie is going to do in October.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, hey, speaking of Scott Jarvie, we all know that Scott Jarvie loves to post and sell his photos on SmugMug. You guys ever heard of SmugMug?
Yeah.
I have.
You know, SmugMug, I've loved SmugMug for a long time now. But they just like went up in my book like 1,000% this last week with the stellar hire of Yvonne Macara.
Yes.
Yvonne, wonderful. Now, Yvonne, tell us what you're going to be doing there at SmugMug.
I am actually a controller there, so I'm gonna dig through the money. My new nickname there is Scrooge. Everybody at SmugMug has a nickname, so my new nickname is Scrooge.
I like it.
Maybe Darth Maul after a while.
Maybe.
You're gonna add up all that money they're making from Camera Awesome, huh?
Exactly. I will swim through it every day.
All right. Well,
Great job.
Will you take a picture of that?
I will. I will.
Well, I know I'm going to come down to SmugMug soon. I've been meaning to do that forever, Yvonne. I got your email today, and
Sure.
And we should do like a live hangout tour down there.
We
Like
definitely could.
I bet we can. My MacBook, it's got a little, I can carry it around with me. It's got a little camera on it.
Yeah.
My MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
So, SmugMug, we love those guys. Camera Awesome is awesome. You know how many they've downloaded now, that, Yvonne?
Over 5 million downloads.
5 million downloads. Wow.
Yeah. It's doing great. I actually use that app every day for a lot of my iPhone photography. And that's what it really got, I think, SmugMug on my personal map, the success with the app. Of course, I knew about them for years, but the app was getting a lot of attention recently, and it's amazing to meet some of these guys that actually are behind that app. And we had a company dinner yesterday, and I got to sit down with the guy whose product it is, and he was telling me a real cool story of how he worked on it for the last 18 months. So.
Now, has Mark Zuckerberg offered you guys $2 billion for it yet?
4.
4. You're holding out. Nice. Well,
I'm a Scrooge. I can't take. I have enough.
Yeah, I know. $2 billion. What's a billion? $2 billion, $3 billion. It's all the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, congratulations, Yvonne, to you. That's a great job for you. We obviously are huge fans of SmugMug as a sponsor of the show, and we're excited to have you on tonight, as well as giving away the hoodie a little bit later on in the show.
And the membership.
And the membership, a 1-year membership for SmugMug Pro.
Yep.
That hoodie is my favorite hoodie I've ever owned. That thing is so fun.
It's really
well, that's great.
It's the best. So we're going to be, and I see Brad Sloan's in the chat room tonight. He'll probably win it again because he already won a year last year.
No, he's not allowed to win.
He probably wants 2 years now. So he's good. So, anyways, the hoodie is great. It's keeps you warm, and we love SmugMug. So thank you to show sponsor SmugMug. What about this? The Google redesign is sinking in. We talked about this on last week's show. What do you guys think? Do people like it, not like it? I've heard some talk about the black bars, the white space. What do you guys think?
I like it.
Use the white space.
Athena, you like the white space or don't like it?
No, I don't like the white space on the side. I've started shrinking down my browser now just so I don't have to look at it.
Yeah, I think they need to get rid of a lot of that white space, and they need to fix the black bar situation a little bit better too.
Now, see, I like the black bars. A lot of people don't, but I like them.
You like them on portrait or narrow photos?
Well, yeah, because before portrait photos look so small, and to me they look a little bit bigger with the black bars. Although what I'd really love to see, what I'm campaigning hard for, is I want to see the square take up the full space. I want the square to be the biggest photo on Google+. Because we all love the square. The square's the best crop of all.
But you know what I don't understand? You know what I don't understand is how you like those black bars when you're such a non-fan of things like frames on photos. Because it looks like an effing frame on my photo that I didn't put there, that got put there for me, and I don't like it.
Well, it's not a frame because it's at like 95% visibility, so there's still some of the picture like.
Well, no, not if it's okay. You're talking about if it's a square. What if it's just, it's doing it on things that are basically landscape oriented, but they're not the full size. So if
I
it's
say
just
let's make the squares huge.
just a little
make
bit
them giant.
smaller, it's still putting these little thin black bars on both sides, and it looks like this stupid little side frames on the side.
I agree. I don't like it. I didn't put it there. I don't want it on my pictures.
I
And
know.
it does have this sort of really strange echo of the image, sort of opaquely under
That's
it.
what Thomas was saying that he
I
thinks
like that.
he likes.
I like Juliana. What do you think? You like it?
No, I don't.
No, you don't.
And actually, there's an extension that I found tonight that gets rid of the black bars.
Really?
I don't know
wow.
about it.
I
Yeah,
know a lot of people are
but
posting their
the
narrow
photos become huge on the on the page, especially the portrait is taking all the page. If
Oh.
you get rid of the black bars, but at least you don't have the black bars, so you see the photos.
Brian,
Yeah,
what do you
it's
what do you
But I
think?
think
The
a
Chrome
solution, a better solution would be for Google to see this and do something proportionally on the page, because like this, it's something that doesn't
So I
look
think
very
what
good.
the Chrome extension is doing is it removes the height limit, and so it's the width
Something
of
like
the
this.
square, width of the portrait photo, but then it's actually a taller
It's a double
container, right?
photo then.
That's
double
actually
height.
what I think would be a really cool option. And so even if you did have a square, like a 1x1, or if you had a portrait photo, it would just take up more vertical space. But
I vote for that. Yes.
The bigger the pictures, the better, right?
The square is looking pretty good with this extension,
so
actually.
I think what we need to remember is basically try to make the photo as big as possible, and then work to make it 10% bigger. And so that's basically the mantra that I keep thinking in my head. So we hear you about the black bars, we hear you about the gray on gray text, and we hear you about the white space or the weird alignment. I think I don't know if it may have been not as big of an issue if we didn't have some content that was left aligned and then that chat pane right aligned. I think if everything was on one side or in the center or on the other, maybe we wouldn't have heard the same kind of feedback. But if you're on a normal, like say a MacBook or a MacBook Air, things don't look that bad. If you're on anything bigger than that, then it starts looking just crazy. Like my favorite ones were, I think Timothy, one of the Googlers, he posted Betty White's face. There's Christian. He posted Barry White's face and Vanna White's face, and all those memes that happened. We were getting a good crack out of that. But we definitely hear you on the feedback. The way we see G+ and the development of G+ is it's an open dialogue. So please, if you hate the black bars, if it's giving you, I think someone in the chat mentions giving them rage quakes or a lot of expletives. But please keep sending us feedback, because it helps make my job easier to go back to the team and say, this is what we need to fix immediately, and this is, how we should fix this. So the best way to send feedback to our team, if you're not seeing the send feedback tab, the send feedback link isn't on every page the same way that it used to be. So it's under the gear menu on the home page.
Oh, the gear menu. That's tricky. You're hiding it now, huh?
So
I discovered that last
getting
night.
more feedback about that send feedback link. So that's also
Secret
had enough
feedback.
feedback. We don't want any more feedback.
no. Please keep sending us feedback. We
You know
really,
what?
Only positive feedback, please.
I think I meant to send feedback about that.
send feedback about the
I
thing.
think Lotus did send feedback about that.
I like the white space.
You like the white space, April?
I do, because it reminds me of my profile picture, which is also mostly white space.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
think I inspired the whole white space thing, so you can blame me for that.
nice.
It's April's minimalist feel.
Yes.
Speaking
And
of
there's so much you can do with it.
speaking of the profile pictures, they're bigger now, right?
Yeah, the profile
Yeah, I have to
pictures are
redo
bigger.
mine. It's really ugly now because of that. It's all grainy.
Oh, I like it. I've seen a lot of great new profile pictures. Olaf changed his. It looks great now. It's got the.
What does
And
this look like now? Can you share that? Can you screen
I
share?
think that the scrapbook
I can find it.
pictures are a little bit smaller.
Yeah,
Isn't that
scrapbook
so?
photos. If you're using the different 5 different tiles, those are actually slightly smaller. They moved down from 150 pixels down to 110. But what we were seeing is that a lot of people were basically taking a single photo and then trying to crop that into 5 squares. So because we saw some people who wanted to do that kind of stuff but just didn't know how. We saw third-party extensions being made or third-party sites being made to help people create those kind of tiles or that kind of effect. We just launched basically just a single cover photo. So if you want to just use one long banner, you can do it that way.
Like this. Look at that one, huh?
Yeah, I like that.
Google, I love you so much, I'd +1 that, huh?
And then you've got Dave and Vincent there in the photo.
Dave and Vincent with Lotus in the middle. You gotta love that.
Yeah, we're gonna do a tour. Dave and Vincent and I, with our shirts.
As long as I can come along to take the picture. All right. Well, I like the new layout, and I think it's very, very cool. So, which, speaking of very, very cool, another cool thing this week. Did you guys see the Google Doodle, the photography Google Doodle?
Yeah. Here, we should screen share that too, huh?
I'm working on it.
Oh, okay.
There we go. Look at that. There we go. What do you guys think of that, huh?
Can you click it? Make it bigger? Awesome.
Google in black and white. Robert Doisneau. Is that how you pronounce that, Lotus?
Yeah.
Doisneau?
Yeah.
I get that right?
I don't know.
Robert Doisneau. Is that showing right? Is it in the right? There we go. Now it's showing up right. Robert Doisneau, who took that famous picture that was like on every girl's dorm room wall when I went to college, of the couple kissing there. You know, it was.
Were you in every girl's dorm room when you were young?
Lotus, be nice.
Did they not have color processing when you went to college?
Right. No, so that was like everybody. It was like a print-orama. You know, it was like the #1 print sold at the mall. But it's wonderful. He was a wonderful photographer and did some great stuff. And I thought it was wonderful for Google to honor him on his 100th birthday.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a cool.
I can't believe he made it to 100. Can you guys?
Why?
I'm joking.
You planning on kicking out way before then?
Well, you know. But it's a great. I love that. Now, Brian, when you guys do these, do you guys like have to get permission from the family or anything like that?
So we actually have a doodle team. They're responsible for putting these together and coming up with ideas for the next doodle. But I'm not too sure about this specific case, but I would imagine we do need permission for something like this.
All right, Brian. Well, hey, my birthday is on March 3rd, in case they're interested. I'm kidding.
We'll celebrate the 100th birthday.
Right.
Just best.
No. You could do.
Mark your calendar for that one.
You could do 45 for me.
I
Anyways,
have childhood pictures if you need them.
I thought that was pretty cool. And another cool thing is our other sponsor tonight, which is Blurb Books.
They're super cool.
How is it we get Ivan Makarov on tonight? Not only works for SmugMug, but he just put out an incredibly successful Blurb book. It's like he's working for the show or something.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
Look at that, the +1 collection, huh? Look at that.
Yep.
Right there, huh?
That's it.
Another Brian Rose Still Wolf photo.
Oh.
What do you guys think? So Blurb, you know, one of the interesting things about Blurb that I saw this week, did you guys see the Pulitzer Prizes? Craig F. Walker for the Denver Post, he did a wonderful series of Scott Ostrom, who was a veteran from Afghanistan and Iraq too, I believe. Yeah, and he had post-traumatic stress disorder, and it was a very touching sort of photo essay that he did for the Denver Post, and it won the Pulitzer Prize. And what I thought was interesting was that his book is for sale where? On Blurb. of these Pulitzer Prize winning photos. Christopher S. Walker, here's the post. Let me screen share this. So can you guys see that?
Yeah.
So Blurb's got Christopher S. Walker, Denver Post, won a Pulitzer Prize for his award work covering an Iraq War veteran adjusting to life back in the States. We're incredibly honored that he's chosen to make his book with us. So you can actually buy a book already of these Pulitzer Prize winning photos. What I love about Blurb is it's a way to directly support the photographer and, you know, buy their book. You know, the book's $46.95 for a Blurb, and it's just great how easy someone can put a book together on Blurb, and you're selling it, and you know, these photos are incredibly moving photos. Blurb's got a great, well, we don't want to do that. Kill pages, wait, Chrome. They've got a great preview feature, which my connection is slow right now, but you can actually flip through the book, the first 15 pages of a book, and see it to make sure it's something you might want to buy. You just kind of click on it and flip through it. So, has anybody else had any experience with Blurb besides Yvonne? So here's the book, Welcome Home. You
Well,
just
they
click
also
through
have
the
a
next
really
page.
great functionality built into Lightroom now.
Yeah, but I mean, look how beautiful that looks. This is just like you're turning the pages. You're in Blurb. You know, I was up at Twit watching Trey do Leo's show on Sunday, and for his sponsor, Trey's got this. Leo had this trick where he would use like hypnosis. He would say, "You're getting very sleepy. You will buy a Blurb book." You will go to blurb.com and you will make your own book. Anyways, I'm not sure it worked. But Blurb, we love Blurb, so there's that. And speaking of Blurb, Yvonne, how many books have we sold now for the Plus One collection?
Well, we've sold, if I add up all the books, the copies, definitely approaching, this is just hard copies, not just ebooks. We're probably approaching 400 copies or something like that.
Oh, that's good.
Wonderful.
How much
Good.
money is that for Kiva?
So actually, that's a good question. I haven't done all the accounting yet because it's not as easy to do with all the commissions and all that. But tomorrow, if I get the time in the morning, my days are a little crazy. I'm gonna write a first check to Kiva for $5,000.
Wonderful, $5,000. Look at
yeah,
that.
what we're going to do, it's definitely it's less than a half, but we are reserving a little bit for just till we sort out our exam status. We actually created nonprofit organization for the project, so
Hope you get some good board directors for that, Yvonne.
Indeed, I have excellent board members, Lotus and Thomas Hawk. And Brian, you would be pleased to hear we had our first board meeting over a Google Hangout.
Oh, awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Apparently it's official.
Yeah, it went into history. So we're waiting to finalize the creation of that entity. But what that means that we'll have a lot of other projects coming up, and you might have
Like a magazine, Yvonne? Like a
if
magazine?
you follow my stream, yeah, we started talking about creating a magazine. So we're going to continue to push it through. And obviously, there's enough of expectation out there that we're going to have to do another book. So we'll see.
Yes.
And thank you so much for doing what you do, Yvonne. Just the fact that you were able to bring in so many photographers, spread word about this project, and do this collaboration for social good. I mean, it's just incredible.
Yeah, no, it was really fun to do, and I think what you guys, the platform that you provide, how easy it was to interact, and to put it all together so quickly. There's just nothing else out there that's like it.
And if somebody else out there wants to do a Google Plus book, go ahead and do it. You'll get a job at SmugMug.
Yep.
That's all you gotta do. Get a job at SmugMug. Do a book, get a job at SmugMug. So,
and
with that, and a hoodie, which we're going to give away a little bit later. And with that, let's get into the wonderful interview tonight with the one and only Athena Carey. Athena, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Lotus, you've probably been the longest fan of Athena's, right?
You know, back and forth over time. I think probably became a fan of hers more when I was in my later teens.
Oh, really? So maybe we should start off with you telling us like a embarrassing story about Athena.
You know, I love my sister very much, and she also knows many things about me. So how about we don't do
wait a minute,
that?
never mind that. Athena, maybe we should start the broadcast off with an embarrassing story about Lotus.
No.
How many years apart are you?
6.
6, okay.
I'm the old one.
Okay.
But we could tell an embarrassing story about our little brother, if anybody wants to.
You'll never know.
We will totally do that.
You wouldn't watch? He
won't tell anything.
He doesn't watch, no. No.
Now, Athena, is it true that you learned everything in photography you know from Lotus? No, I'm kidding. Because that's what she keeps saying. No, I'm joking.
Thanks.
I'm absolutely joking. Athena, tell us, when did you start taking pictures? How old were you?
Well, when I was like 9, in the summertime, my parents shipped me off to Switzerland to spend the summer with my godparents. And when I left, my mom gave me, as my consolation prize, her camera, which was this little square Kodak thing that had, my favorite part was the flash bulb, the little cube that goes on the top, and every time you use it, it like explodes, and then it's really hot and burnt out. And so I spent the summer taking a million photos with that thing and just fell in love.
Was it an Instamatic, a Kodak Instamatic?
I don't remember exactly what it was, but probably. Little black box.
Yeah, those were great. I had one of those too.
It was awesome. I think you and I are probably close in age, so.
Maybe. How old are you? I'm 28.
Oh, stop.
I'm 26 then.
Close, you're close.
Yeah, we have your sister here too, buddy.
Yes, that's not true.
Yeah, speaking of embarrassing stories, I've got a few about her.
So do you still have some of the photos you took with that camera at all?
Yeah, I do actually. They're in the States in a plastic special box in a storage unit, which is air conditioned. It's funny because you know what? They're all squares.
Yeah.
And I almost never do squares. I'm like rectangle woman.
I love you square.
That's why you never do square now.
Square boy and rectangle woman.
You've done it, you've learned it. You've had enough.
Do you have any that you just absolutely love? Do you remember any of the shots you took? Or, I mean, now you know so much more.
Yeah, when I was 9, I was a beginner.
But, like, could you see the raw talent?
I don't see it in myself now. But one of the, like, really amazing things that I did was my godmother took me, like, for the whole day on a boat tour of Lake Lucerne. And I think I took a picture of, like, every 10 meters of the lakeside. So those are some of my favorites.
So you could now, like...
You know what? My mom took a lot of them. Sorry, what, Lotus?
So we do, like, some kind of epic old pano and stitch all those together?
No, actually, it's on Google Maps.
What did you say?
It's on Google Maps. If you do Street View on the lake, it's my 9-year-old square picture.
Now, did you take a lot of pictures of Lotus? Because she likes to take pictures of herself.
No, the camera was kind of reconfiscated from my mom when I got back, so I had to wait. I think when I was about 13, our grandfather died, and he left me a Canon A1.
Oh.
So that was my first SLR camera, and it had a really cool strap. It was just all really cool. He was a big photography enthusiast. He's the one that took a million zillion pictures of me when I was a baby. And so in some way, I guess it came, our Lotus's and my photography thing came through him.
Mm-hmm. Although I'd say we probably have a good creative streak going through other members of the family, just in a different way.
Absolutely. Our mother likes to draw. She used to.
Now, was this the first camera? Did the first camera look like this?
I think it had less white on it.
Less white on it, more black. Okay, so there's another version of this camera.
No white space, huh?
Yeah, it comes from that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyways. So let's talk about your work now. I mean, what inspires you to shoot?
Now, well, when I was in my 20s, I moved to Africa, and that's obviously not now, but it's when I really got serious again about photography because, you know, Africa. And I bought a new SLR film and went and took pictures of everything, elephants, lions, everything in Africa that I came across. And then when I had kids, my focus sort of shifted to them. You know what it's like when you have a kid, you take a zillion pictures of them because they're everything in the world. And I got really interested in people photography as a result of that. And I started doing it professionally, the whole everyone else's kids. And I still do it. I'm taking a break from it because everywhere that I've lived in the world, I've never really been able to take a decent landscape picture. And I decided it was time to fix that. So last autumn, I sort of decided to take a break from portraiture, sort of shut the studio down. I still do a couple of still lifes in it, but that's about it. And really focus on landscape photography. Sort of think about what I like out of other people's pictures, what I like when I'm actually in these places. And so now I guess it's lakes and mountains.
And a lot of long exposure photography.
Yeah, actually that can be probably completely attributed to Google+, because
is that right?
On Google+, I came into contact with a fabulous group of long exposure photographers, and I just really fell in love with the idea of freezing time, which obviously we do all the time when we take a picture. You know, you freeze that moment in time forever, but in long exposure photography, I don't know, there's just a real calm and stillness.
You're
that really
defreezing time.
appealed to me.
Yeah.
What did you say, Julia?
I was saying that you're defreezing time in long exposure.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, how long do you do most of your exposures?
Sorry, Thomas?
How long do you do most of your exposures? Does it vary?
How long are they?
Yeah.
They can be 10 seconds if you're, you know, on the seaside and you've got waves and you want to still be able to see some of the detail in them, or they can be 10 minutes. It depends on the effect that you want. You have to really look at the scene and sort of assess the amount of movement, the movement of the water, the movement of the clouds, and then decide how much of it you want to still be able to see.
What do you tend more towards, the longer or the shorter?
The longer.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, the longer you go, the sort of smoother everything becomes. You take out all the small little distractions, and I don't know, it's just really peaceful to me.
Dreamy.
Mm-hmm.
Silky.
Now it is. Are you using filters?
Yeah, if you don't use filters, you have to do it at nighttime. Because you've got to cut the light in order to get the exposure long without overexposing.
Mm-hmm.
Which filters do you use?
I use, for the squares, I use Lee filters. They're really hard to get, but they're fantastic. You know, they just slide in and out. Sorry, Yvonne?
Even in Europe, they're hard to get?
Yeah. Yeah, I had to wait months to get my first one. And while I was waiting for that, I bought some VW circulars. They're amazingly beautiful glass. Even the color cast that they leave is beautiful. But they have to be screwed onto the front of your lens, and it gets fidgety, and every time you want to recompose, you have to unscrew it. So, switch back to the squares.
And so, which sleeves have you gotten? The big stopper?
Yep, I've got a big stopper, I've got a 3-stop, I've got a 2-stop, I've got a polarizer, and I've got a 1-stop that's probably in the air on its way to me.
Nice. Now, Yvonne, you have a big stopper too, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I just got one myself. That's like all the rage.
Yeah.
Do you have adapters for them?
I did. I have some adapters as well. I haven't even used it yet, though. I need to use it.
We should go out and use those sometime. Yeah, they're very good. I personally prefer the big stopper just because you can screw it on any lens. I have lens that's 82 millimeters and 77, and you can just get the adapters that way. It's really easy, and with Lee, you can just stack them one top of each other. I've seen people put 5 or 6 filters on top of each other.
But I mean, would you really have more than one with the big stopper? I mean, that thing's so powerful.
Well, what I saw, and I don't know, Athena, have you tried using more than one dark filter?
I'm almost always using more than one because, like Lotus said, what I like is the smoothness. So
yeah.
Sometimes 10 isn't enough to smooth out everything. You got to add a 2 or a 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you can actually, if you get more than one big stopper, you can do 20 stops of light. Then in the middle of the daylight, you get several minutes really easy.
I don't have 2 big stoppers, but I have 2 BW 10-stop filters, and I have stacked them, but I get really bad image quality from it.
They are too dark.
It brings out a lot of noise, actually, in the images, and it's not even noise that you could like pretend is grain and black and white. It's patchy.
I would think you would need filters for shooting in the snow. That's always really, really bright.
Well, here, when it's wintertime, it's never really bright. It's very gray. We have the occasional sunny day, but I don't have to use any filters. And the snow pictures, I think Thomas has showed a couple of them, they're really fast exposures because, like you said, there's so much white.
Athena,
do you prefer shooting in black? Do you prefer black and white with these long exposures?
I've always leaned towards black and white, even in my portraiture work. People would come to me because they wanted black and white photos. That's what I was known for. So there's that. But then there's also that I have sort of this color disability. So maybe that'll be next year's challenge, is to figure out how to get great colors. I don't think it's that I don't see the images in color when I take them. Of course, I'm there and everything's in color. But somehow for me, the black and white expresses my feelings about the scenes better. But I love other people's color pictures, and I have to say I'm really impressed with people who do color really well, obviously because I don't.
Your macro shots are beautiful with the color.
I went through a macro phase when I lived in Thailand, and you're right, they're almost all in color. That is very different. I hadn't thought about that.
I think you do color beautifully, but I think we all judge ourselves differently than others do.
Yeah, you're right.
I agree with Lotus. You have some very nice color pictures.
Yes.
But maybe this is your preference, black and white. This is how you see things.
Yeah, I think I don't know, it's easier for me to express the way I feel about each of those images when they're in black and white.
There's something that's so dramatic about black and white long exposures. I mean, it's almost like a genre unto itself. That they
I
just
think it really is.
feel so dramatic. I love that.
That's the beauty.
Well, it seems like when you remove an element... I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It seems like when you remove an element like color, something that's so big in our world, it allows you to concentrate on other things about the image or the scene instead of the colors, which can become really distracting sometimes depending on the scene too. And so when you bring it down to that scale, where you've removed all those colors, it seems like you can focus more on other finer details about what's going on. So maybe that's
the other thing about taking color out is that you take it that one more step away from what we see every day, our everyday reality. And so it becomes a little bit more magical. You've already got the stillness of a long exposure, but now you've taken one more step again outside of our everyday normal.
I think you can concentrate more on the light with black and white. And on the shapes. On the shapes.
And yet you do color. You do color so well as well.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I think she does color.
Only in macro.
I don't know. Your abstracts. I mean, I guess these are macros, but they're remarkable.
That's a beer bottle.
The color is so vibrant.
Yeah, I agree.
So maybe it's also in the other direction too. She was just saying that when you take the color out, you're kind of taking that real world. You're taking a step away from the real world. So then when it's very vibrant, maybe you're also doing the same thing a little bit in the other direction.
I think so. I think really vibrant images tend to sort of push us into the surreal as well, and probably why they're so well liked.
I noticed that you did a little bit, you played around a little bit with HDR for a little while too.
I did. When I first decided to start doing landscape, you know, you look around and you see what's going on, and for me it was all color, and I thought, oh my God, I can't do color. And so yeah, I played with it a little bit. I didn't like my results. It has its place. It's just maybe its place is not in my hands.
Athena, what are we looking at here? What is this, a glass ball of some sort?
It is, I don't know what you call them. When you buy them, they're these tiny little hard beads. And they're sold like to go with floral things. And you stick them in water, and those little beads are actually the external membrane of this thing. And it just fills up into something that's like the size of the tip of your finger. So that's actually a macro shot. But, I mean, it wasn't floating in air. It's two shots. It's the clouds off my balcony in Malaysia. And that little marble was actually sitting on the window ledge of my office, also in Malaysia. That was my view. And the little thing came from my son, who brought it home from school.
Is this the photo, and you don't have to tell this story if you don't want to, is this the photo that you showed when you were telling a story about the question that Matthew asked you when he was so young?
Yeah, when Matthew was really little, he came to me just coincidentally while we were in the States on holiday. And we had a condo there that we kept, and he was like really concerned, and he said to me, "Mommy, I have a question I have to ask you, but I'm embarrassed to ask you." And I thought, oh my gosh, kind of early for this. So in order to talk to me, we had to go into my bedroom and turn the lights off, and then he sat on the floor, and I had to lay on the floor and look away from him. And, you know, I had to just ask him over and over and over, "No, Mommy, I can't ask you. It's so bad, and I'm afraid to ask you." And then finally he asked me the question, and the question was, are we real? He wanted to know if we were real, or if we were part of somebody else's imagination or story.
That's a nice question.
I know.
How old was he?
I think he was like 5.
Wow, that's something.
Like
5 years old.
What did you tell him? What did you tell him?
I told him, well, you know what, I tried to really be honest with him all the time. I told him that I think we're real, that I like to believe that we're real, but there was no way that I could prove that to him. And so that, you know, he could always imagine these things in his mind, but the best thing was to decide that he was real. This is totally who he is, though. He is such a deep thinker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a brilliant kid.
That's great. So you didn't come up with anything like a thing where he's coming out of like John Malkovich's head or anything, and we're really not real? And
well, you know, Thomas, I live with this boy, and at the end of the day, I have to be responsible for his development. That's the stuff you tell other people's kids.
Yeah.
Right.
Athena, when you shoot long exposures, and say it's a 5-10 minute exposure, what do you do? I usually I usually shoot.
That was my
alone,
question.
and I really don't know what people do during these.
Sorry, Yvonne, what did you say you do?
I always shoot these alone, so I always wonder what are the other long exposure people find themselves doing.
A lot of times I'm the only person in the place where I am, so there's not even other people around me. And a lot of times it's early in the morning, it's freezing cold, and I take music with me. I take music and then I just sort of zone out for all those minutes.
Probably like plays Words with Friends or something.
So then that's like kind of a lone reflective time for you so you're gaining that kind of from your photography as well. Some kind of
It absolutely is. It's almost therapeutic. When I lived in Thailand, it's not allowed legally for foreigners to be professional photographers in the country. It's a disallowed expatriate job. And so it put me in a position where I needed to find something else to do with myself, and that's where I did macro, and that's where I did my self-portrait project, which I learned a lot about myself from. And I'm finding the same thing with long exposures, because I'm out there all alone with myself for all this time. It's nothing but me, a beautiful scene, and all the thoughts in my head. So sometimes maybe too many of those thoughts. But during the day when you have all these distractions around you, those thoughts are there, but you sort of push them aside. You're distracted by everything else. In these minutes, it's just me and my thoughts.
Do you ever bring a second camera that you can shoot while you're waiting for the first one?
I always talk about doing that because sometimes my thoughts are just really not that great. And it would be cool to sort of be walking around and shooting other things. But my bag is so heavy already, and I'm such a wuss that no, I haven't done it yet.
Your self-portraits are wonderful. These are,
They are.
speaking of self-portraits.
Thank you.
I find it interesting, you were talking about how your photos are so emotional, but when I look through your albums, to me they seem timeless. And it seems like you could go back at any time and see something. They just feed the soul, no matter where they are. So I wonder, do you go back to your photos and can you reconnect with what you were feeling then, or do you feel something entirely different when you look at them?
I do sometimes go back to them. I actually went back and looked at sort of the macro and the self-portrait stuff before this show because I didn't know what we were going to talk about and I needed to be prepared. And I do. When I go back to the photos, like those self-portrait photos, I remember where I was mentally, emotionally, developmentally in that time, particularly the self-portraits, because each of them is like a piece of me.
Yeah.
Now, is it true that Lotus steals your ideas for self-portraits?
Absolutely not.
I'm kidding. Of course.
Have you ever seen Lotus with tribal paint?
No, not yet. I can't say I have.
I would like to.
I'd like you guys to do a sister selfie project where you get a theme and then you both have to create it and see what that's like differently.
From across the ocean, or I wish it was my neighbor.
You could each do one half of a photo and then put it together.
Oh yeah, there you go.
That would be cool.
Maybe Lotus can be in the men's bathroom. You can be in the women's bathroom.
Yes.
All of the pictures in bathrooms would look like this.
Actually,
so
you were talking about your...
Whereas I had my knee on the floor in the men's bathroom, and
I know, Lotus is totally the cool one with stuff like that.
I don't know if it's cool as much as it is stupid.
Or just brave. Okay, Lotus is the brave one, because I'd be in there with like my disinfectant spray all over the place before I could touch the counter to take a picture.
Yeah, Athena, when you were talking about your first camera, it just reminded me of these flash cubes that I have. And actually, that's what I went to go grab. But I still have these.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like what you were talking about when you actually fire the flash. I don't know if you can really tell, but they create the little chemical explosion.
They burn out, totally.
Yeah. And so you might be able to even see it in the video there. the unfired ones are here.
Yeah.
And the fired ones there. But
Brian,
The
don't
ones
you
I
just...
had were like a single cube, and they turned, I think.
Yeah,
So it was like one cube with 4 flashes.
yeah.
We were just talking about this in the chat room about 10 minutes ago, Flash Cubes.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian, don't you just want to fire off those last 2 flashes on the top of that thing?
Right now, for instance.
Yeah, I've got 2 left on this side, and then I've got 5 left on this side. And those flash cubes that you're talking about, the I guess the 4-sided ones, I burned through those by accident. Basically, like I usually go to thrift stores, and that's where I found the SX70, and that's what the flash cubes are for. So when I was just playing with the camera in the store, I was just being stupid. I didn't know what I was doing, and accidentally fired that flash off. So
So you sold it just then, right? You sold it.
I figured I bought it.
See, when I was a kid, I used to hook those up to batteries and set them all off at once.
Oh, no.
Nice. Athena, are there any photographers in particular that inspire you? Professional photographers or amateurs or...
I would have to say, because what I'm doing right now is the long exposure, it's pretty much all that I'm interested in. I mean, everywhere I go, I think, oh, what kind of long exposure could I do here? That it would be the long exposure photographers on Google+, because that's really where I came in contact with it. It's an extremely supportive group of people, very helpful, very friendly. It's a feel-good community, I have to say.
Who are some of those people that you hang out with in that group?
Well, biggest one I would say probably is Joel Chinchilar. He's amazingly helpful, a fantastic photographer. You should pull his page up. His photos are like fine music.
Nice.
In addition to that, there's Nathan Worth, who is my mentor. He's my long exposure master. He helped me a ton in the beginning before I even had a filter. He gave me a just bucket full of information to help me decide if I wanted to do it and what I would need to get started. He's also hugely supportive and also an incredible photographer. Their 2 styles, however, are very different. And it's actually a very good example of how it's a genre unto itself, but a lot of people bring their own style into it.
You know, speaking of Joel, and before I put his stream up, one thing I want to show you here is that one of the nice things about the +1 collection book is that each book on the limited edition came with a print. And
that just happens to be my absolute favorite photo from Joel. And I got that print with
great
my
shot.
Look at that, huh? I've got your absolute
That's
favorite.
one of the best shots I've seen.
Yes. So.
Yeah, it is too, Thomas. I got the same print with my book.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah, and it's a square.
We do love the square, don't we?
I'm going to take mine with me to Berlin and get Joel to sign it.
Oh, that's great.
That's terrific. So here's some more of Joel's photos here.
I'm actually going to take my whole book with me to Berlin and get all the people there that are in the book to sign the book.
Yeah, me
That's a
too.
great idea.
Awesome.
Well, that's funny. Somebody was saying on a recent show they wonder who's going to have the first completely signed book. Like, you know, what world traveler is going to be like the first one with the limited edition with all the signatures in it.
Wouldn't it be
Wow,
awesome
everybody.
to get all those people?
That would be awesome.
Maybe instead of
Maybe,
donating money to Kiwa, I should just travel around the world and do that. What do you guys think?
Hey, if SmugMug's paying for it, why not?
Yeah. Could we ship the books around and actually have them all signed, and then maybe auction one of the limited edition books off for charity?
That's a
would be
great
cool.
idea, Brian.
You know, Brian, the problem with shipping the book around like that is the same problem that back when Yvonne and I were in the DMU on Flickr, that we decided to have a traveling camera thing, you know, where we'd ship the camera, one guy would take a couple pictures, and the next guy would take a couple pictures, and the next guy would take a couple pictures. And after like about the 4th guy, all of a sudden the camera disappears.
Aww.
I have more faith in this community.
I know. So do I. It is a great community. Athena, speaking of the community, Google+, so have you ever been involved with anything like this before? I mean, Is it?
I would say the closest thing that comes to what this is like for me is when I was doing the self-portraits on Flickr, because there was a big self-portrait community on Flickr as well, but it was very specific. I was really there just for that. Didn't really branch out much into anything else. I think a lot of it also too is that because most of my photography was portraiture, I don't really share paid work. So if you commission me to take photos of your kids, I'm not going to post them up on Google the next week. So in that time, it was just all about self-portraiture for me. That's what I could put up in macro when it was macro. And now with Google+, I've got all kinds of photographers in my circle. I get to see everything. It's really pretty amazing.
Well, your work is...
Athena, sorry.
Go ahead, Juliana.
I was wondering, Athena, when you decided to do long exposure, was it something, an instant decision, or was it something that took time, that you fell in love with it in time?
No, it was pretty quick.
How did it work for you?
It was pretty quick. It happened...
Was it love at first sight, or...?
Yeah, I guess you would say it was love at first sight. My exposure to the genre happened while I was in my I'm going to do landscape photography place. So it was the right time for me to come in contact with it. And I did really just fall in love with the feeling that you get when you look at those images. And for me, photography is very much about feeling. Even when I was doing portraits, my portraits ended up really being a reflection of my feelings with that person during the shoot, which is essentially why... Yeah, when I would do a photo shoot with people, the first 30 minutes, I don't even really take very many pictures because I need that 30 minutes to establish... Sorry, that's my time to get up alarm. To establish an emotional connection with the person that I'm supposed to be photographing.
This is very important, especially in portraiture.
Yeah. And when I photograph people, I really prefer that it be me and that person and no one else in the pictures, because every time you add another person into the image, my connection gets weaker, I guess, because it's spread out across those people.
And I think that
I can see it. I can really see that in the images when you start. So say you've got 3 kids and you want all of them in the picture. It really makes me sad because now I've got to try to connect to 3 people at the same time.
And I think they can't express themselves very well when there are many of them. When it's just one-on-one, the photographer and the model, I think the feelings are more real. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So speaking of your ready to get up alarm, Athena, thank you also for, having this hangout at this ungodly hour.
Yeah, seriously.
We've tried to get other Europeans on the show, and many of them, they say, "What? Are you kidding me? At like 4 in the morning? Forget it." But
thank you for putting up with my coffee guzzling and maybe slightly delirious comments.
No, it's great. But we really appreciate your getting up that early for us. It's I know that's a challenge, and that's terrific. So, but we do have to actually cut off the broadcast at this point. Otherwise, we will not be able to trim the YouTube video. We are coming back, though. Everybody here will be coming back. Right? Thumbs up. Okay, so
bye.
We're gonna have to say goodbye, and this is the part of the show where we end it. But we're all coming back for the after show, and everybody hang out. We'll still be here in the chat room with Keith Barrett and on the Vidcast Network, and we'll take more questions live from the chat room participants for Athena. So see you next week. Lotus, who do we have next week?
We have Jeffrey Sullivan.
Jeffrey Sullivan, the one and only Jeffrey Sullivan. Okay, and we promise not to bring up the suggested user list with Jeffrey. All right. See you later.
Good night.
Bye for now.